Hi, I'm Brad Wild from the Go Wild team at REMAX. So the numbers are in for November, and this is what happened in the Cambridge real estate market. If we look at the number of sales this month, there were 163, which was down 8% from what we had in November of last year. Looking at our active inventory, there's 329 listings on the market, and that's down about 5% from last November. And then the number of new listings that hit the market, there were 212, which is down about 9% from what we had in November of last year. Now looking at our average sale price, the average sale price for all housing types in Cambridge was $491,000, and that's up 16% from last year. Diving into more detail, detached houses, they're up 8%. Attached houses are actually up 43%, but you got to take that number with a grain of salt. If we look at all of 2018 compared to all of 2017 for attached houses, they're actually up about 6.5%. Just what we saw this November is there were several larger, more expensive attached houses that sold this month compared to in 2017, so that's why you see that huge gap there. Looking at condo-style apartments, they're up 14% from November of last year. So great amounts of appreciation across all of the housing categories. When we look at what houses are selling for on average, 98.7% of their list price, so pretty close to asking. Now, lower priced homes like attached houses and condo-style apartments, they're selling for a higher list to sale price ratio right now than the larger detached, where we're seeing a little bit more negotiation going on. Looking at the houses that are selling over asking, there's 22% of the homes that sold this month sold actually above their asking price. And our months of inventory on the market, there's 2.02 months of inventory on the market, which still puts us in a seller's market. Now, if we break that down by price point, between $0 and $600,000, there's 2 months of inventory, so still strong seller's market. Between $600,000 and $1 million, we've got 3 months of inventory. So still, again, a seller's market, a little closer to a balance, but still seller's market. And then when we go to that $1 million plus, there's 8 months of inventory on the market, and that's actually considered a buyer's market. So what happens with prices in these different categories is if you're in a seller's market, prices will tend to go up. The balanced market, they tend to lay flat. And then in a buyer's market, you'll see prices actually, if you're in there for a long enough period, they'll start to soften and go down. So overall, when we look at the month of November, it was a pretty good month for the Cambridge real estate market. Sales were down, but prices were up dramatically in all the housing categories, which is really good for sellers. If we look at the number of sales in total for 2018 compared to 2017, we're actually tracking down about 16%. And there's a couple reasons for why we've had less sales this year than last year. One of the big factors has been the stress tests that were implemented in January 2018. That, in the combination with the interest rate increases that we've seen this year, have really reduced the affordability for purchasers, and it's pulled some buyers actually out of the market. And that's also what it's done is, since there is a reduction in the affordability, we are seeing a higher demand for the lower priced homes. So that's why that under $600,000 is a lot more active of a price point. What we'll probably see for the rest of the year as we go into December and approach the holiday season is the market's going to continue to slow. That's a seasonal thing, it's normal, so it's nothing to be concerned about. If you are looking to buy, December's a really good time to get a great deal on a house. From someone who's looking to sell a home, if you're selling an investment property or you're selling a house that would go to a first-time buyer, December's still a good month to have it on the market. If you're someone who's selling a larger house that's more geared towards a family, you probably want to wait to 2019 to list your house. But I think that you're going to be better to list and sell a property in the first quarter of 2019 opposed to waiting till the spring market like a lot of people traditionally will do. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, if you list in the first quarter of 2019, you're going to have less competition on the market for you. The other thing is the Bank of Canada has stated they're going to continue to raise interest rates. And they're not going to do it for the first quarter, but they have indicated that they're likely going to start doing it in the second quarter. That, in combination with tightening mortgage rules, I think that you're much better to get ahead of that and sell in the first quarter. If you have any questions about the Cambridge real estate market, please comment below and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Thanks and have a great day.